Hey guys, welcome to Dad's Garage HD. I'm Ironhead, and today we're going to lighten up the front of the bike a little bit. You know, the 2024 Road Glide redesign was really a benchmark for Harley, especially in the last few years. It had gotten kind of monotonous with the looks of the bikes. Not that they looked bad, but they just looked the same for many years. This redesign on the Road Glide really attracted me from the Street Glide world to the Road Glide world. All of the features that you would normally have to add on, Harley put quite a few of these on, but they didn't put them all on because they know everybody wants to personalize their motorcycle. Same thing with me. I noticed that it was a little bit dark in the back, if you will. And so if you watched any of my other videos, we went to Custom Dynamics. We put in the LED latch lights and the LED saddlebag lights in the back to give that a little bit more illumination in the back to be noticed. Also, they look pretty cool with sequential blinkers and etc. But we also did the LED front fork auxiliary turn and run lights. So we got rid of the reflectors, filled them in with Custom Dynamics solutions. So the one thing that I've noticed is there's not very much lighting. Yes, the front headlight is quite powerful, but as far as turn signals, running lights, you only have the two on the side. So I was looking at the solutions to that, and with the Clockworks windshield, there was only one solution on the fairing, and that was the Custom Dynamics center fairing vent trim with the turn signals. This will run along the trim of the motorcycle, present another turn signal indicator, along with a little bit more light above the headlight. So we're going to put this on today. It's a pretty simple install, so hang around. So if you haven't installed anything yet into the front of the bike, you're going to need the adapter. And what this does is this plugs into the back of your headlight, splits, everything runs to the headlight. The turn signals, every piece of lighting in the front of the bike runs to the headlight. So this will split the headlight harness so that these turn signals will work right alongside with the factory turn signals. And then we're going to install this into the front vent area. So we're going to take our trusty T25 Torx, remove the windshield, and get started on this install. We're going to remove these 3 bolts from the windshield attachment bracket. And we'll expose it down to the and we'll get it down to just the vent. Okay, you also have to take off this front vent cover, and that just pops out. I use a little plastic tool to make sure that I don't damage anything, and I just kind of pry it loose with my finger until I can get a gap and get this thing started in here. And pull this off. Now we're going to need to get into the fairing so we can access the headlight. So you've got 2 bolts here, 2 here, then you've got 1 in the speaker. Pull the front speakers off, and then the other one is the lower one down here by the deflector. So you want to take this one on the opposite side. There's 1 inside here, 2 up top, and 2 here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and remove all 4 of these. Then we just have the ones on the top of the fairing. So gently pull the speaker pot off, and don't pry down whatever you do. Just kind of pull it, pop it out and up. What happens sometimes is you will bust these attachments that hold it into the bottom here. And again, we'll take our T25. And we'll do the same thing to the other side. Okay, now that we have all of the bolts in the front out, we just have these 4 holding the fairing on. Go ahead and pop these 2 tops off here. And save these last 2 for last. Now this all comes in one piece, so shouldn't be any issues pulling this off. We'll get this off, expose the headlight, and go from there. Pull off and expose, and we'll set this over here so it won't be damaged. Okay, well, those of you that watch my video, you know that I have the Volunteer Audio sound system in here with 1000 watt amp A to B interface. So all of this is kind of crowded in here, but these are all Velcroed in to move out of the way so we can pull the headlight. As you can see, there's 1 here, 1 here, these 2, and 2 in there deep. So we'll get to those. Always loosen these 2 right here because they're so easy to get to. Just loosen them and then start taking the rest of them out. Now these are the 2 inner bolts that you want to pull off of this. All right. Got those out. Now we need to get these deeper ones out, and I have to switch my tool up a little bit. So I have a longer extension to reach back there, and it doesn't need to be a big ratchet like this, but this was just handy. Got that broke loose. And that one's broke loose. All right, got that one loose, and I just leave him there until I get the headlight out. It's a lot easier than chasing it. My fingers don't fit in there. All right, that one's loose too. And get back to our trusty T-handle here for these. All right, the last two bolts here. This is a big headlight, man. All right, take my two bolts through it, my magnetic tray over here, just off camera. And pull it out, and there's a connector right here on the back. And then those two fall in the floor. That's par for the course. So we're going to set this headlight over here out of the way just for a minute. And as you can see, I've got a little bit of work done with my front fork LED lights. So I've already got the adapter here for that. And now we're going to use a Y so we can split it into the vent light for the blinkers. So as you can see, we've got two ends here, and you can't mess this up because there's only one way to plug it in. As you can see from all that, this one's the only way to go. So you just plug him in. And I'm trying to do a little cable management here before I get too far. All right, so we're going to take these two and go right up through here between the amp and the A to B and all the wiring. Let me put that here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave these like that. And of course we want to make sure that we can plug the headlight back in. Do a little finessing with all the wiring and everything. So I'm going to grab the headlight. Plug him back in. Okay, I think that's it. So when you're doing this, you have to make sure that that connector that connects into the back of the headlight goes into the void in the center of the bike, or the headlight won't squeeze all the way back. And I've got so many accessories already plugged in here with the turn signals on the forks and the amp. There's a lot of wiring back there, so I just have to make a little void, not any big deal, and then make sure all of this is all tidied up. You know, I don't know if I told you that these are T27s, by the way, not T25s. I gotta invest in some longer T-handles. snug. Snug. Check these one more time. Okay, we're going to put the fairing back on, and we're going to put these two little pigtails that come with the vent light. You plug these in for each side, and you're just going to throw them out here right between these top bolts, just sticking out a bit, and we'll address that later. So on goes the fairing. Nice and easy. Make sure I don't pinch the wires. And there's a void right here on each side that these come up through and have no issues right there. So we got that. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and get all these bolts started. So make sure it's all lined up. Get your screw started in there. Just a couple of threads. So it takes me a little bit longer down here on these. And that's all tightened up. All right. Now that's done, we'll move back to the front of the bike. Now we're going to tighten up all these wires. Just make sure that these are loose, that there's nothing pinching. All right, so we have our trusty vent light here. What you're going to want to do is take the top cover of your vent, pull these off that hold the bottom of the windshield. Then we're going to take our light. Okay, pull this off. And I'm going to stick this right where those were. A little tight, and it just slides in, as you can see. And so these will take the place of your factory bottom brackets there. So got that all situated. I'm going to turn it over here and wire these, and we're going to route these up the outside here. Is they furnish these little tabs that you can stick onto here and put a little zip tie in here just to hold it into place. Make sure you have the right one. What I like to do is a little bit of 70% alcohol just to make sure everything sticks good. So I'll put a little on the rag and wipe this down to where I'm going to put these brackets to hold the zip ties. Make sure that this is in place. All right, so take your piece, we'll pull the paper, and we're going to route these up once we get the this on. We're going to route these up to the front of the vent cover. And what I've done is I've routed those just about in the same place. There's a little void on top, just above on this side of the windshield bracket, just to make sure that that goes in there. Okay, it's all slid in tight down at the bottom. Got these. What we can do with these is we can go ahead and plug these in. And shove the excess out into this little crevice. Okay. Same thing on this side. Plug this in. Shove the excess back into the fairing through that little crevice where our thing came out. That way we don't have to deal with it. Put the vent cover back on. Everything will be good to go. Okay. All right. Now we can put our windshield mounts back on. Just make sure you don't over tighten these. These are just snug, guys. I've already had to replace the top of the vent cover because I over tightened them and it broke it out of the plastic. Just snug these down. I just want to close the gap. That's all I want to do. I don't really want to put any torque on them. I think it's 2 to 3 inch-pounds is what you're supposed to do according to custom dynamics. These bikes are really easy to work on. It doesn't take a whole lot of different tools to do the simple stuff like changing out a windshield or taking your fairing off so you can get to the wiring. Everything's pretty much a one-tool process. All right, we're gonna put the windshield trim or the vent trim back on. Okay, now we're ready to put our windshield on. But before that, let's test our work. Kind of beautiful. I love it. I love that, man. That looks cool. What do y'all think? I think it looks cool. Now you can change these with a magnet. These change the sequence and how they want to blink. I think they have the other lights that go up the side, and I can't remember what they're called right now, but it doesn't work with the Clockworks windshield. They stick real close, like to the factory, from the factory windshield. They depend upon that bolt pattern and that design. Custom dynamics, guys. Custom dynamics. I'm going to throw the windshield back on, and we'll go from there. You take the magnet and you turn on your ignition, and you're going to want to place the magnet somewhere in between the center and this, right in here. And once it senses it, then it'll change your configurations. There's 3 of them. So here's the way this works. Turn it on. You grab your magnet. Turn on the blinker. You hold the magnet right in here until it senses it. There it is. There's one. There's another. And just the regular blink. I like this one because it matches the back sequence. So this is the way we're going to leave it here. I hope you guys enjoyed my video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, hit the subscribe button. And until next time, stay safe.